I want you guys to become better graphic designers. So let's continue our series about the graphic design principles. In this video, we are going to discover what I consider the second most important rule of graphic design, and that is alignment. We will talk about two very important things that good alignment will allow you to achieve in your design. We'll talk about the different ways of aligning elements, and also we'll discover the different tools that Canva has to assist us with alignment. And just like for the previous episode, I will be digging into our Facebook community to bring up both some good and bad examples of how to use alignment. Let's do this. What is up everyone, Ronnie here. Welcome back to our channel. Today I am all pumped because we are continuing our series about the graphic design fundamentals. Today's topic is alignment. So let's jump right into it. I have prepared a presentation, and the first part of that presentation is simply to try to give a simple definition of what alignment is. So I found this very simple and straightforward definition on Google, and it says alignment is the placement of visual elements so they line up in a composition. Okay, so nothing really fancy about this definition, but what's really interesting to me is why should we align our elements on our design? What are we trying to achieve by creating this alignment? And basically it comes down to two different goals we are trying to achieve with alignment. The first one is to improve the overall legibility of our design, to make the information that is on your page, on your design, on your canvas easier to digest for the viewer. That is the first overall goal of alignment. The second one is to influence the way viewers will discover the design elements on your page or on your design, but also hopefully trigger some sort of behavior or specific actions because of the way the elements are aligned on this page. Okay, so two main goals for alignment: to make the information on your designs easier to understand for the viewer, and second, to influence some sort of behavior. So try to remember that, and I will be bringing up some examples in this video that will help you better understand or visually understand what this means. All right, so what we are going to do, we are going to dive a little bit deeper in each of these two main goals of alignment, starting with improving the legibility of our designs by improving their composition. And the first thing I really want to draw your attention to is that Canva makes it easy for us to properly align our elements. Indeed, Canva has a bunch of buttons and features to help us, to assist us. So what I suggest is that we jump into the Canva editor and have a look at what these tools are. Okay, so I am here in the Canva editor and I have one single Ronnie pineapple here. It is one of my Bitmojis. I thought I would use this to kind of show you. So basically, this is an element, could be a graphic, could be a photo, could be a line, a shape, anything really, a piece of text. It doesn't matter. Everything I'm going to show you, these buttons, you will be able to use them for any element, any visual element in Canva. So where to find them? First, you need to select your element and then go to the position button right here on top, and then you will find your alignment to page tools. Okay, so very simply you can align your element to the top of your page. So this will bring up your element all the way to the top of the page, to the middle or to the bottom. Okay, so remember this first column: top, middle, bottom. And then you can align to the left, center, or right. If you want center and middle, which is where elements by default will be positioned when you bring them from the object panel, they will always be centered and in the middle of the page. So this is very quickly the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing I want to show you is these assisting lines that you see. So by default also, if it is turned on, you should see the safe zone of your design right here. And if you get with an element, if you get close to this safe zone, it will become of a different color, pink color, and your element will kind of snap to these lines right here. Just remember that this frame that you see here represents the safe zone, like the zone within you should stay when you design to absolutely make sure when you print or when you publish in different formats, this will not be lost or like part of your design won't be cropped. Okay, so stay within the safe zone. So that's the first thing in terms of assisting lines, I would say. Another assisting line that you are probably already familiar with is the middle line. So the line that shows you are actually now right at the middle of your page. And again, your element will snap, you will feel it snap when you get to the middle and similarly to the center, like so. Okay, so it's easy for us to align our elements there. All right, so these were the most basic alignment features in Canva, I would say. Something else that you absolutely need to do every time you start a design. I mean, you could probably survive without it for a design or two, but if you're serious about becoming a good graphic designer and using Canva, you should absolutely always turn on the rulers and guides. So rulers and guides can be found under your file button right here, the file menu. If you click on file and then this option right here, show rulers and guides. And there is also a shortcut, a keyboard shortcut, which is Shift R. Okay, so click on this and you should see your rulers both on the left side and the top of your screen. And the guides are, if you click on the ruler and drag, these lines that you can bring to your design and you can move them, you can place them wherever you like. So these will really become your best friend to help you align your elements. For example, you want to align Ronnie Pineapple into a specific position on your page. So I have added my guides here, my two guides. I just need to go find Ronnie Pineapple in my Bitmojis right here, make Ronnie Pineapple a little bit smaller. And now that I have these two guides, it's very easy to come and position Ronnie Pineapple right there, exactly what I want him. And again, this element will snap into your guides. So it's really easy. Canva makes it super easy for you to use these guides. Something else I like about the guides is once you have placed them on one of your pages, they stay on the other pages. And this will really be useful when it comes to creating specific layouts or compositions, for example, from a template. Let's say you find a template that you really like and you want to recreate something similar, but keep the same compositions, keep the same layout. So let me show you an example of that. I have imported one page of a specific Canva template website that I found interesting in the template library, this template right here, and I would like to reproduce a similar landing page but with different information. So I'm going to be using the guides, and by all means, like these are still the guides from Ronnie Pineapple, but to get rid of a guide, you just take the guide and drag it outside of your page. You drop it anywhere in the gray zone and the guide will disappear. Remember, Shift R to bring the guides and rulers and Shift R to make them disappear. That's what I'm doing right here. So what I'm going to do here is to position a bunch of different guides on this Canva template, this homepage template, so that I can easily reproduce it on the next page, this page right here, the second page of my design. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to bring a guide from top first and position it on top of my home button, similarly at the bottom, and then all of these elements are pretty much aligned on the safe zone here, but I'm still positioning a guide here for my text box right here, a guide for my text box at the bottom of this text box, and then I have a second piece of text here, like so, and then I have my call to action, which needs to be in between these two guides. Okay, I think I have something good here. So if I scroll down to my white page, now I can start reproducing this home page with my own elements. So I'm going to speed up the video, but I'm going to do that and show you the final results. So there you go, guys. I have recreated a similar looking homepage. If we compare the two of them, we see a lot of similarities between the two pages, but this time I use all of my very own elements. And it was very easy because all I had to do was position the elements within the guides I had created. And again, I can get rid of the guides after I'm done by Shift R, and there we go. Now I have, let me collapse this panel as well. So there you go, I have reproduced this homepage layout, this homepage composition based on my guides. So let me bring them back. So this was made possible really because when I position some guides on a page, they also show on the following pages of my document. So very, very convenient to work with guides in Canva, and I strongly recommend you to do so. There is just one thing I wish Canva had when it comes to guides, and maybe there is this feature, but I haven't found it yet. So if you do know how to do this, please let me know in the comment section below. I'm talking about getting rid of all the guides all at once. So I'm not talking about making them disappear by showing and hiding the guide. No, I'm talking about getting rid of them, like clearing the page of all the guides instead of having to do it one by one like I'm doing right now. So if you know how to do this, please let me know in the comment section. But otherwise, you will have to take each of your guides and drag them out of your page one by one like I'm doing right now. Let me take another Canva template and show you another example of what you can achieve with guides. So for example, this layout, this composition right here is very well aligned because the creator of this template has used the guides and aligned their elements. As you can see, what I'm doing here is positioning the guides to show you how well aligned everything is on this design. So you will see that every single word is perfectly aligned both horizontally and vertically. So if I go as far as taking the vertical lines like so, you will see that the distance between each of the elements is perfect and everything is well aligned. So I could continue this, but then I know I will have to take out all of these guys one by one. So I'm not gonna do the entire design, but you see what I'm talking about here. Again, I'm gonna make them disappear. Perfectly aligned slide, like a bunch of different visual elements on this one, but this is really made easy with the guides. Alignment will also help us space the different elements in our design in relation to each other in order to create more structure, like visually grouping elements, or in order to create more balance on your design because your elements are evenly spread, evenly separated or spread on your page. And I would like to show you another set of tools that Canva has, this time not to align your elements, but to space them properly in relation to each other. So let's jump back into Canva and I'm going to show you where to find these tools. So I have 6 runny pineapples this time, and I would like to show you a couple of different things. Let's say I want to make these smaller, slightly smaller like so, and I would like to create a line, a straight line of all of these runny pineapples and kind of spread them evenly. Okay, so something like this. But I would like to make sure there is the same distance between all of these pineapples. So I could grab lines or guides like so and make sure I align them, but there is actually an easier way to do this. I'm going to select all of them, go back to my position button right here, and this time focus on the lower section of this menu, space evenly. And I will observe that I can either space evenly vertically, but here they are already all pretty much spaced evenly vertically, or horizontally. If I choose horizontally, Canva will apply the same amount of distance between each of the pineapples, like so. So this is super useful, but in order for this to work, you need to select everything. And now when I select them again, I can see that they are all separated by the same distance, okay? So let's select them all, I'm gonna group them, and now I can use the position button again to align these group of elements either in the middle, center. So if I want everything to be centered, middle, center, and now all of these pineapples are perfectly centered and have the same distance between themselves. And there are other options out there. I'm going to ungroup all of this. And now I'm going to show you the other version of this to space evenly vertically, maybe only 4 this time. Position, space evenly vertically. There we go. Now we have created a nice line of runny pineapple, vertical line like so. Okay, so this is how you use this feature. If you use the tidy up feature right here, basically what Canva will do is to apply both of the filter. They will be spaced evenly vertically and horizontally and look more tidy. So I think these features are super useful. So this will allow us to work much more precisely on our designs and create things like this design right here, where you see really different groups of elements, but everything is separated by the same distance. So for example, these lines right here, they are basically being spread evenly horizontally. So that's how you create the same distance between like equal columns. You create a couple of lines and then you select them all and you space them evenly. And I can see they even have been grouped here on this design, so I can ungroup them like so, and now I can select them separately. So all of these lines have been spaced evenly. So that is one of the applications, I would say, of using these commands to space your elements. All right, we are making some good progress here, guys. I hope you're liking this video. By all means, if you do like it, please leave us a like. This will help us with the visibility on YouTube. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel here on YouTube, I don't know what to tell you. This is the best place to learn about Canva and graphic design. Subscribe to our channel. You know what to do. All right, back to the video. We have a couple of more things to cover. The next point I want to tackle is how to use alignment to visually group elements together, okay? Because when elements are aligned on your design, they seem to be related to one another, more related to one another than elements that are not aligned on the design. So for illustrating this, I have these two photos right here, Ronnie and Diana, but for my photo, I have aligned my name to the photo, like you see here. For Diana, I didn't do that. And weirdly, I perceive that the photo of Ronnie is associated with the name Ronnie, while when I look at the other side of the screen, Diana is not so much, I mean, we know it's Diana, but still, like, our brain don't process the information at the same speed. So visually grouping by aligning elements together will make them be perceived as belonging together. All right, so this is a very important concept, and I wanted to jump back into Canva to show you some more examples of this. Starting with this one right here, which is a slide that I could really use, for example, during a Zoom meeting to do some sort of exercise with the rest of my team. So we can see here team alignment meeting, and we have a bunch of information here on this side of the page, and then the company logo. And then here, a couple of boxes where from the first look at this page, I understand, okay, this is where I will have to fill up these boxes and we will brainstorm here. But this part of the screen, so everything on this side, seems to be the guidelines or some elements that I might have to be using, some information giving me some context about this page, about this exercise. So because these have been aligned to the left and also kind of grouped together, because everything here is aligned to the left, and then the rest here in the boxes is mostly, like you see, this text box is in the middle, is centered. So there's a different type of alignment being used for these other elements. So because of that, I understand, my brain processes that this bunch of information right here belongs together. And indeed, these are the guidelines for the exercise. All right, moving on to the next example I have here. Here again, very simple. The information has been grouped with alignment. So here is a different type of alignment. It's a central alignment. If you draw a line or if you bring a guide here in the middle, we can see that all of these three elements are aligned evenly, but at the center. And the same for these right here. And also the same, basically, like the middle of this icon is on the same vertical line as the middle of this icon. And similarly, horizontally, the middle of this icon is the same as the middle of this icon. So here again, alignment allows us to create groups, visual groups that make us understand, makes our brain process the information faster because we understand these belong together. And last example, same thing here, a new product, a new Apple computer. We have the computer and then we have visually grouped everything here by aligning all of these, I would say, specs of the computer with separating lines, but also aligning the text exactly here at the same size. And we can see the lines are aligned and evenly spaced, and also each of the text boxes starts on this guide right here, so aligned to the left. So there you go, a couple of different examples showing you how alignment can help you group elements together so that they make sense together. They are perceived as belonging together. There is an important rule when it comes to alignment, and that is that every single element in a design should be aligned with at least one other elements. There shouldn't be any element just hanging out there by itself, unless it's very intentional. And we'll talk about this in a second, but everything, every single piece of element on your design should be aligned with something else, with another visual element. Let me show you an example when it's not the case. When we look at this slide, we see 3 words, and they seem to have been placed on this page, on this canvas, in a random way, in an arbitrary manner, because there is no proper alignment. Like it's not aligned on the safe zone. None of the word is properly aligned with another one, either vertically or horizontally. So this seems random, okay? And you don't want that to happen in your design. You don't want to give the impression that you're randomly executing, randomly placing elements, because there is no space for randomness in good graphic design. Everything should have or should be where it is for a good reason, right? So that's kind of what we expect. So let me now show you, by simply aligning these elements to the left, how everything could look much more ordered, much more stable, much more structured on the page, just because I have now ordered these elements and aligned them to the left, but also spaced them evenly vertically. So there is the same amount of distance in between each of the text boxes. So this is just a simple trick to show you how much alignment is important, to show professionalism, to show structure, to show that there is a deliberate decision behind every single placement of your elements on the page. Okay, now I would like to fetch a couple of designs from our Facebook community to show you some less good examples of the use of alignment, okay? Again, I'm not doing this to blame or laugh at anyone. I'm just thought, okay, there's so much designs out there. Let's grab a couple of bad examples to show you really how important good alignment is, okay? So I imported them into my Canva editor already. So this is the first design, and at the first look, it looks okay. But if I keep looking at this design for a little bit longer, then there's something that I cannot quite point my finger at what it is. The first couple of seconds I look at it, but there's kind of something off about this design. And when you look a bit deeper into it, you realize it is small alignment mistakes that make this design uneasy on the eyes. So let's use some guides to analyze what is not completely properly aligned on this design. So let's bring a first guide and position it here. So this is kind of like the obvious, I'm gonna zoom in a bit, like so. This is kind of like the obvious way of aligning these text boxes. This is the main text, so that's fine. Again, I'm gonna drag another guide right here, and I'm gonna position it on the second text box right here, Monica Gold, okay? And I can see the third line right here, learn how to break your way into the multi-million industry. This one is not properly aligned. It's not touching the guide, so it's slightly off. You see, there's maybe like half a centimeter here, but this half centimeter gives me an odd feeling when I look at this. Let's continue adding some guides. For example, I can see that this line right here, learn how to break into the multi-million industry, it's been justified in the middle, while the rest of the text is kind of justified to the left. So this gives me a second weird feeling, because this last word right here, industry, is not aligned with anything else right here. And then we have this text box right here, host. Again, it's not aligned with anything else. You see, it's in the middle of the first word here, and here it's not aligned with anything else. So these small alignment mistakes are kind of messing up my design right here. See also the YouTube logo, it's not properly aligned with the number 21. And here again, like we don't have enough space between the two logos. So all of these are, I would say, alignment related mistakes. Let me zoom back to fit the page and get rid of these guides before we move on to the next design. And again, if you know how to get rid of all the guides, please let me know in the comments. I'm getting tired of getting rid of these guides. Okay, the second design I would like to comment on very quickly, again from the Facebook group, is this one. So this one, same feeling. I have a feeling, well, first of all, there's too much, like there's not enough white space, but that would be for another episode of the design fundamentals. White space will be one of the future episodes, but that's not what I want to talk about here. I want to focus on alignment. So let's bring the guides once more and start grabbing where each of these elements starts, okay? So for example, these two moons right here with an animal, we can see the cat is touching this guide, but the koala is not. So it's just like randomly placed here, and also at the bottom, it's not really, should be at the bottom of the cat, it would be more aligned. Yeah, so just some small mistakes of alignment, like this one right here, not aligned with anything else either. All right, I'm not gonna expand any further on this design, but my point here was to demonstrate to you that small alignment mistakes could really generate a weird feeling in the viewer when they look at the design. They might not immediately be able to point the finger at what's wrong, but they will understand something is wrong. And most of the time, it's small alignment mistakes. So make sure you use all of the tools I have showed you in this tutorial to properly align your elements, as this will really improve the quality of your compositions. Now, in some cases, you might want to break that rule, to break the rules of alignment on purpose, because you want to highlight or you want to create some sort of effect where you have everything aligned, like you have your ducks in a row, and then you have one thing that sticks out. And this sticking out element is probably going to be the focus on your design, like I did on this page right here. Some cases you might want to break these principles of alignment to create a sense of disorder. You see how everything is aligned here on this particular line right here, but the word disorder sticks out because I broke the rule of alignment. Now, just be conscious that when you break the rules, first you need to do this with moderation. Don't do it too much, otherwise it's not going to work. And second, you have to do it deliberately. Like you have to do it knowing what you do and really using that chaos, that disorder that you generated to your advantage. All right. So that is how you can sometimes break the rules of alignment to achieve specific effects. And this leads us to the second goal we are trying to achieve with alignment, and that is to influence the behavior of the viewer, or to give a good reason to the viewer to take a specific action, because we are guiding them to that action, to that specific goal that we have with our design. An easy way to do that is to create a specific structure or flow on a specific piece of design. And an easy way to create that flow, to create that structure, is to use pre-existing layouts or compositions. And the good news is that for the presentation doc type in Canva, Canva actually has a new feature which gives you a bunch of different pre-made layouts. So let me show you where to find them. The first thing is that you will need to be in a presentation document. You cannot find the layouts in other types of documents right now. So make sure you are in the presentation document, and then head over to the templates tab in the object panel, right here, the first one on the top, and then you will see templates. That will be the default tab. But if you switch over to your right, you should see layouts. So click on layouts, and there you should see a bunch of different page layouts. You see all layouts with some already pre-made structures for you. I very regularly use these layouts when I create decks for our tutorials, for example. So I would encourage you to have a look at these layouts. Just remember that for now, they only exist in the presentation doc type. And one of the reasons why you use a specific layout is to actually create that structure, right? To lead the eye of the viewer in a specific path. So if we look at this slide right here, you see a photo of myself, a headline, and then 2 columns of text. And I would say that the natural way of looking at this page is to first focus on the photo, then read the headlines, then read the first column, and then move on to the second column on the right. So this is kind of like the traditional way of reading this page. And that is because Western readers, so people who speak languages like English or French or Spanish or, Western part of the world, tend to read in a specific pattern. And that pattern is left to right and top to down, okay? Now, this will be different in languages like Chinese or Hebrew or Arabic, because they have different reading patterns. Sometimes is right to left, sometimes is top to down. It depends. But for the Western world, the reading pattern is left to right and top to down. And this leads me to a well-known graphic design concept called the F-shaped pattern. The F-shaped pattern is a concept that is widely used in web design to create specific landing pages, but also to create an intentional flow on these pages that will guide the user to a specific point where they will have to make a decision. And this path that has been created following an F-shaped pattern will pretty much correspond to the website's creator's goal. What do we want to achieve with this page? Let me give you a real-world example. Let's take this Airbnb landing page, okay? Become a host, host your space, share your world, blah, 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 and then a button, try hosting. Now, let me gray out the design itself and let's try to look at this from a heat map perspective. So where do we look at first when we look at a page like this one? Well, it's probable that you will look at this logo right here on top, or you might start looking at the main headline, so this one right here. And then the second thing is that you'll probably be directed to the photo and the guy's face, most likely looking right in the middle of his face around the eye level. Next, you will probably read the second text paragraph right here, which gives you some additional information. And this will lead you to the call to action or the button on the home page that says try hosting. So when we look at the pattern in which we have discovered the information on this page, it looks like an F. So that is why it is called the F-shaped pattern. And it leads us to the button, which is the action that we intentionally want the viewer to take. All right, guys, we have covered a ton of information about the design principle of alignment. We've seen that alignment is mostly used for two good reasons. The first one is to create more legibility in our design through improving our compositions, okay? Alignment will create a structure and bring more order to the design. It will help us consume the information on the page, and it will also help by creating connections between different elements or visual groups. So that is the first main goal we are trying to reach with alignment. The second goal is to influence viewers' behavior and lead them to a specific place where they hopefully will take a specific action that will bring us closer as a creator, as a designer, to our goals. Okay, so we do that by again creating structure, by leading the eyes of the viewer with alignment and reading patterns, and this should help us trigger specific actions from the viewer. Phew! Alright guys, we have made a lot of work in this tutorial. I'm gonna leave you with the link to the playlist with the other design principles, the other episode I have created in this series, so go ahead and watch this next.